Guys, and welcome to my channel once again. Today I have an amazing guest for you, someone who left her comfort 14 years ago to move down to Africa, a place she has called home, and decided to come here to Africa. And she's not only doing it alone, she's trying to make others reintegrate back to Africa if they are willing. Today we'll be discussing some of the things people don't talk about when you're trying to move, and also what are the advantages of moving? What is the benefit to the host community when they move? So you make sure you go check out her channel. She's been talking a lot about these same things. Stay tuned, keep watching, make sure you stay subscribed because more amazing videos will be coming from this channel soon. Hello, Miss Kia. Yeah, please introduce yourself to my audience.
All right. My name is Simmons. I'm the CEO and founder of Traverze Culture. We are a travel concierge company that specializes in humanitarian work, relocation assistance, business development, and now medical tourism inbound to Kenya.
Wow, you've been here for like 14 years.
Yes, back and forth for 14 years and now at the field.
What makes someone to leave the comfort of the place they've called home all their life and decide to move to a place they've never known?
Yeah, so for me, the journey began 14 years ago when I arrived here at Moi International Airport in Mombasa, and I realized that we've been lied to, bamboozled, and hoodwinked. And I got to immerse in the culture immediately. Actually, the first day I stayed here, I stayed at one of my my Kenyan family's aunt's house. I didn't even stay at a hotel. And so it was an immediate immersion into the local culture. And immediately I realized the beautiful piece about Kenya wasn't the country alone, but the Kenyan people. And that just made me fall in love with the country. And so I continued to come back and forth. And so the entire dream from day one has always been to permanently move here to Kenya. It just was a process. You know, I'm a mother. I was still working overseas. I still had some other things I needed to close out before I finally make the final leap. But essentially, the process led me to eventually moving here permanently.
First of all, moving, there are these challenges that most people face. How would I tell my friends that I'm leaving? How would I tell my family, my classmates, my colleagues that I'm moving? How did that go for you?
Great. Everybody supports me in my circle. I'm an avid traveler. I'm ex-military. I did contracting for 7.5 years, so I've traveled for the last almost 20 years, back and forth and in and out of the country. So people are used to it. My son is used to it. My family is used to it. And everybody is super supportive. My family, I have the best family in the world. Forget about it. So really, everybody was excited. No one said, oh, you're crazy. None of that, because they already know who I am. I've been doing it for so long. So it was just, they were just like, yeah, we already knew you was going to move. It was just when. But it's been a positive journey for me.
Arriving in Kenya 14 years ago,
Yeah.
what was that moment that made you feel, no, this is where I belong?
I think, again, meeting my first Kenyan ever in Afghanistan, him telling me about his country, and I'm just intrigued by it all. Shout out to my brother James Blasi. He was on The Historian. Y'all check that out and you can hear his story as well. But him just welcoming me in and like, let me take you to Kenya. And I'm like, what? And I'm a female. Mind you, this is a married man.
Yeah.
And we're in Afghanistan together. And for him to be like, you'll be all right. You family. You know, you'll meet my wife, you'll meet my children, you'll meet my aunt. Matter of fact, the first night you're going to be staying at my aunt's house. The next night we have this plan for you. Everything was planned out for us. And I ain't never seen that before. You know what I mean? Like, I'm from the South. I'm from the southern part of the United States, so we are very welcoming, and we still, I believe, we hold on to some of the African traditions. That's just a part of our DNA. But I mean, this was still different. Like, who does that? You know, invite you to your country, and then hey, you can stay with my aunt. That's crazy. So that moment right there, I'm like, these people are amazing. I love it.
So the hospitality one.
The hospitality, forget about it. It's the people, it's the hospitality that makes this country beautiful.
You've traveled across Africa.
Yeah.
Can you say this hospitality cuts across Africa, or is only peculiar to Kenya?
I must say, for the most part, I've seen hospitality across Africa. But Kenya is special. And you know, I've talked to other people, and I'm sure you've spoken to other people, even yourself. I mean, it's a different type of hospitality here. I think they're a little special, but it does cut across Africa. I'm not going to say that I've been to any country where I felt like I wasn't welcome or anything like that. Yeah.
We want to know more about your project. You have a project called Traverze Culture. Traverze Culture is supposed to be a platform that helps people relocate and also integrate into the African culture, no matter where it is, whether it's Kenya, Botswana, South Africa, Nigeria, Ghana. How have you been able to convince people that this is where they belong? Is it a platform that is meant to convince people, or just to assist them achieve their goals?
Ooh, that's a good question. Not convinced, but what I've been able to do is show my journey. That has helped tremendously. You know, we get on consultations and people say, I've been watching your channel for forever. I've watched your journey. I've watched you sell your house, your assets, and move here. Now I'm seeing you also assisting other people to do the very same thing that you yourself did. That was very important to me. Now, I've been running this company for 7.5 years. I had another company, Worldviews, before. And I was doing it back and forth from the U.S. to here. So every time I would go back to the U.S., I lose momentum. And I started analyzing that, like, why am I losing momentum this way every time I go back to the U.S.? Well, it makes sense. How can you be telling people to move here, travel here, invest there, and you still live in the States? People understood, right? Because it's a process. But the whole thing changed when I moved. When I actually made that bold move to relocate here permanently, people then said, aha. So she's not just talking, she's putting her money where her mouth is, and she's also walking us through the journey. So nope, I'm not trying to convince you. I don't promote mass exodus. I don't promote repatriation. Y'all can hold me to that. But I do promote alternative lifestyle. It happened to be on the continent, and we happen to have African ancestry, but we do offer a service. We are not going to pull on your emotions. We want you to make an educated decision that is conducive for you and your family and the generations to come. That is what we offer as a company, and we offer integration over repatriation. Hi, my name is Simmons, and I am the founder and CEO of Traverze Culture, where we'll be having the historical event Journey Back to Eden, or better known as the JBE. And I wanted you all to be able to see some of the experiences you will have at this beautiful location. The Journey Back to Eden is a 3-day event built into a 7-day and 12-day tour of the beautiful country of Kenya. We will be having a business conference, culture exchange expo, New Year celebration, and a town hall meeting with none other than Dr. Umar right here in Nairobi, Kenya. And we want to see you there this December.
I've had this situation where all the videos about people who teach or help others to repatriate are just of the good side of Africa.
Yeah.
I've also seen videos of people who have come to Africa, made videos and posted that they regret coming to Africa.
Yeah.
What are some of the dots that people don't talk about?
Because of the line of business that I'm in, it's getting worse actually. People think that they can just jump off the porch and move to the continent, and they think it's so cheap that they can move here, have no money, no backup plan, no sustainability, you don't have to qualify for immigration, none of those things, where you are expected to integrate into the country. You're still a foreigner. While you may have African ancestry, you are still culturally different. And so even the mindset of relocating to an African country, they think that they should be given something as opposed to work towards what it is that you need to get in this host country. That is eating up people left and right. I'm talking about they'll come over here and they can't afford to live here for 6 to 8 months. They're back in their home country because you did not do enough research, or you didn't use the resources that are already on the ground, which I agree. You still have to kind of do your due diligence around that, and you still have people that may scam you, even in our community, who are offering these services. So that I get. However, if you don't have to do it on your own, don't do it on your own, because you're going to make costly mistakes. Very costly mistakes. And then now you have videos where people are saying, oh, it was a mistake me coming here because you didn't do all of the things to integrate into the country as a foreigner.
Most people think it's because you don't have a local to guide you.
Yeah.
They look at it like if you had a local, things wouldn't have happened the way that they should have happened to you. Is it necessary about having a local or integrating gradually into a system?
Well, that's a twofold kind of answer there. I would say yes, having locals that you can trust. I ain't gonna BS with y'all. Finding people you can trust anywhere, that's a human trait.
Yeah.
Anywhere could be an issue. Finding people you can trust in any foreign country, you're a foreigner, it's gonna be hard. Period, right? But since we're talking about Kenya, while Kenyans are very hospitable, they're always bad bunches or people in the bunch. And so building a network that you can trust takes time. It takes time. Yes, you need locals, but it takes time to build that network. It took me 14 years to build my network where I can stand on it and say, I got the best team in Kenya. These people have never screwed me over. The level of integrity is insane. Loyalty. I am a woman-owned, woman-driven organization where we do employ men. None of the women have been catty. None of the women have been jealous. None of the women have went behind my back and tried to circumnavigate our clients. That takes time. It takes time to get people to believe in your dream, to believe in it so much so that it becomes their dream. My team and my network is that way, but it took me 14 years.
It's a view. Yeah.
So two things can be true. Yes, you need a local, but then it's going to take time to build that network. And so that's where I come into the picture. I'm the only American that works for my company. The only American that works for my company.
Okay.
Everybody else is Kenyan.
Yeah.
Right? Another thing that helped me was me integrating, me taking the chance, and me also offering stake in the game. Because Kenyans don't have to care about me relocating here and creating this platform for not exclusively Black Americans, but most of our clients are Black Americans or African Americans. They don't have to care about that. We're inviting ourselves here. But once you build that relationship and you give them, you build the relationship and they have stake in the game, it changes the whole course of the relationship. And now you have a network worth fighting for. You have a network that you can stand on and say that My team is the best team, as I said before, and human capital is real wealth.
Yeah, it's real wealth. Wow, that's beautiful. If you've watched up until this time, make sure you go to her channel, subscribe, like and share her videos, and follow her for more amazing stories coming out of Africa. This is Thrybe, and here every voice matters. So you have a project called Journey Back to Eden.
Yes.
What is Journey Back to Eden?
The Journey Back to Eden.
Who is it for?
Yes, the Journey Back to Eden is a call to action. Ghana did the year of return in 2019. In 2019, I saw how successful they had done the year of return. And I'm like, why can't Kenya do it? Look at the infrastructure here. It's already a super welcoming country. You know, you rarely will hear a Kenyan say, we don't want you here. The staple word when you fly into JKI is Karibu Kenya, Karibuni Kenya. So I'm like, this is a great opportunity for us to bring this to East Africa, as Kenya is the big boy of East Africa, right? And so we started the journey in 2020 during the pandemic, and we did a virtual call to action. Then in 2023, 2024, we did the Call to Action conference, and it was a success. Small, but a success. And now we took the pilot, and then now we're doing the Journey Back to Eden. What is the Journey Back to Eden? It's a call to action for all Africans of the diaspora, no matter where you're from, to look to Kenya as a second point of entry into the continent for investment, relocation, business development, and travel and medical tourism. But it doesn't have to be the end-all be-all, but it is a good soft landing, a great entry point into the continent, so that you can now explore the rest of Africa. But even if you land here and you say Kenya is that place for me, now you have an entire program where you can get all of the information that you need in one space. You also get the network with like-minded individuals, see speakers like PLO, who is a huge Pan-African here, and we love him. Also sit with business owners who've already migrated here and have successful businesses. Some of the influencers like Austin Holloman, shout out to him for moving over here and showcasing Kenya the way that he's been showcasing Kenya. Or you move over here like a celebrity like Khalees, who's been able to move here, and now she has a 150-acre farm, which I got to see 2 days ago. So, you know, you have all of these opportunities that you can see in this one itinerary, which is broken down in a 7-day itinerary and a 12-day itinerary that has a business conference, culture expo, New Year's celebration, and a town hall meeting included in with it. And another thing, what makes the Journey Back to Eden very special, is rooted in relationship building. We have a lot of internet wars going on right now with the FBAs, whoever they are, and our continental cousins. I like to call y'all our cousins, because we have at least a 700-year disconnect. We've been saying 400 years for forever. We have at least a 700-year disconnect between the two of us. And while we believe that our African cousins are welcoming, which you are, there are misconceptions about each other. There's myths, stereotypes. There's a disconnect. There's tension. There's a lot of uncomfortable conversations that we need to have amongst ourselves. But before we can even get to that, we must be able to experience each other in a way that we've never seen before. We need to be able to sit at the same table, and I'm Gullah Geechee. I'm from Charleston, South Carolina. I'm the Gullah Geechee culture. And sit right beside somebody from Ishan. I have Ishan DNA, right? And this person is sitting there and they're sharing their culture, and Gullah Geechee is sitting there, and you kind of start to see the similarities. And you're like, wait a minute, this says United States of America, Gullah Geechee, this says Nigeria. Wait a minute, how is this so similar but different in its way? How can we leverage our differences, which essentially is data? And we haven't been able to leverage our differences. All we've been able to do is argue about our differences on the internet, and it's not serving anyone. So the Journey Back to Eden is also about relationship building first, before we can move to what I like to call conscious trade and commerce. Because at the end of the day, for us to be empowered as African people globally, we have to be empowered economically.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. So A question that most people ask is, do you want them to come here and take over our land with the dollars that they have? What is your narrative towards that?
You say take over a land?
Yeah, because when you have money, you can buy as much land. Like, you can afford to buy land more than an ordinary Kenyan can buy. And if you're moving a lot of people from diaspora coming here, the locals are threatened by their land being taken over, recolonization.
That's fair.
How do you feel the impact of diasporas relocating back to Africa would help impact Africa instead of vice versa, make them feel like they become second citizens in the only continent they call theirs?
That's right. So that's why I don't subscribe to repatriation to foreigners, which would be us, right? I subscribe to integration. When you integrate into the local community, there's a different way you go about things. There's a different way you go about business, so that is inclusive of the local community as opposed to exclusive, right? So my goal is not to have African Americans come over here and take over nothing. My goal is to integrate and make it inclusive of all parties involved. That's why the relationship building is so important and imperative, so that we do not repeat a Liberia. We do not repeat what's happening in South Africa with xenophobia, right? We don't repeat what's currently going on in Ghana. There is some resentment happening because there was no intentional motive of relationship building before you started doing business with each other. And so because we are distinctively different culturally, and because I would say African American culture has penetrated the world, even Africa. So even when you guys look at us, some people have called us the big brothers. And so if you're looking at it from that perspective, and now the big brothers are coming to your country, of course you're going to feel some type of threat. But we also have to take in consideration that it's partially conditioning. Because any other multinational that comes to this country, i.e. the Chinese, you don't question them. The white boy been coming here for 100 years, you don't question him. Any other multinational, you do not question him. So why question me if my intentions are pure and I'm being vocal about it and I'm being intentional about it? So this is what Traverze Culture offers. Through our education of our clients and the education of the local vendors that we are using, that we partner with. We also employ local Kenyans, of course. All of the work that we're doing and all of the social impact is all within the Kenyan community. So we're not excluding anyone. It's inclusive of all parties.
Something that I like to point out. In America, we have a Chinatown.
Yeah.
In Ghana, probably there's a Chinatown.
Yeah.
In Uganda, there is a Chinatown. Yeah. Why is it that most Africans are threatened when a section of Africans decide to have their own town?
Yeah.
It did happen in Ghana when an Igbo man wanted to have an Igbo community. He calls himself the Eze of Ghana.
Okay.
It created a lot of friction. I'm thinking of this if African Americans decide to buy maybe a very big size of land and chunk it up into an African American community in Kenya. How do you think people will perceive it?
They will be outraged, for sure. For sure. We have to meet people where they are. We have all been oppressed, colonized, enslaved. So we have to understand that there's still a portion of us who may look African but think white.
Yeah.
And so we meet people where they are. So if you know that this can possibly create a backlash, why even go that way? So my goal is to build a community inclusive of Kenyans. Why? This creates an entire 360 where we close the gap with the disconnect. Imagine the African Americans living right beside a Kenyan, and they come together and they have a child. Now that child is 100% African on this soul.
Yeah.
And we changed the whole generational gap between ourselves and our Kenyan counterparts or whomever else on the continent. I do not believe that African Americans should come over here, specifically in Kenya, and create their own community exclusive of them. That would not work. It will backfire. only because of the conditioning, and we have to meet people where they are.
Great. You're meeting somebody that I aspire to meet. PLO Lumumba. I've listened to his teachings. How do you think PLO's teachings and beliefs, Pan-Africanism has impacted you as a person?
When I first met him, he said he couldn't read me because I was actually quiet, which I'm not a quiet person, as you can see. By the time I was finished talking, he called me a little Malcolm X. And we sat down and we talked, and I said, "Sir, I have been following you, but I didn't know you were Kenyan."
You know, Kia, what you are saying is so very important, and it is always the right time to do the right thing. I think we have delayed for too long.
To be quite frank, I didn't know you were Kenyan. I thought you was from Nigeria or something like that. And he sat down and he told me, he said, "Listen, I've been doing this for a very long time. This has been my life journey. And at the end of the day, when I leave here, legacy, people talk about legacy, but my legacy is in people like you, who's able to see what I've been able to do here I think he's like 60-some years old, here on planet Earth, and be able to take my words, because he's a great orator, and activate it." That's the difference, right? He's the orator. We need to activate everything that he's been telling us all these years, and that just changed the course of, that added value to the course of action that I was already, moving towards. And we've built a really cool relationship. I heard that he mentioned me at another speech in Ghana the other day. He mentioned my name, Waukesha. He did it twice here. And when I saw him about a few weeks ago, I said, "Sir, you've been mentioning me." He said, "Yeah, because you don't often see a lot of women in this position who are, I am Pan-African, and I stand on it. I may not put my fist in the air all day long. My logo may not look that way, but I do believe in us, and I do live for the empowerment of African people globally." So yeah, his words, his actions have definitely impacted my life and the trajectory of where we're going as a company and an organization.
How do you see his involvement in Journey Back to Eden impacting on the people coming for that event?
Oh, massive. His words, his teachings, his views is respected globally.
For too long, because Marcus Garvey said it over 100 years ago. For too long.
And so to be honored to have him to speak to the diaspora outside of the continental diaspora is going to be,
because our founding fathers and mothers said that we must not lose touch with the mother continent.
It's going to hit different. It's rare that people have that access to someone of that magnitude and someone we all honor. So I'm just glad that people will be able to experience them the way that I've been able to experience it. Shout out to the event. Yes, so here's the call to action. I need y'all to meet us here this December for the Journey Back to Eden initiative. It's a 3-year initiative where we're calling all Africans of the diaspora to meet us here, to look to Kenya as a second point of entry behind Ghana, for investment opportunities, relocation assistance, business development, and like I said, now medical tourism, massive. The time is now for us to unite, get to know each other in a way that we've never seen before, and also create alternative opportunities for us as a group of people. This is December the 28th through January the 9th. That's the 12-day event. But then you can also opt to do the 7-day, which is December the 28th through January the 4th. Or if you're here locally, join us. You can do each day broken down in the 3-day increment to join us for the Journey Back to Eden. It's all on the website. You can either go to journeybacktoeden.com, or you can go to tverse.com, and it'll redirect you to the main page for the Journey Back to Eden.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
A word of advice for anyone thinking of relocating, and final words.
Word of advice: if you're looking to relocate, first do your due diligence. The first thing is you have to change your mindset. If you are running away from the U.S., you're going to come here and you're going to have the same issues. This is a luxury. Relocation is a luxury. Why is that? It's a better quality of life. It's a fraction of the cost, safety, better health care, create real generational wealth, change the entire trajectory of your family's wealth and health and all of the beings with relocating. So you must be prepared. You must be financially prepared. You must have capital to relocate. If you don't, you are going to find yourself right back where you started. So do your due diligence. Also use companies for the resources that are on the ground, and do your due diligence about the companies too before you use their services. So that would be my last word. Please go follow us on all of our social medias at Traverze Culture, and I look forward to seeing you all this December for the Journey Back to Egypt.
Thank you. Thank you for watching until this time. It was an amazing conversation with Kia, and I hope you get to check out her channel, subscribe to Thrybe. Stay tuned, keep watching, make sure you stay subscribed because more amazing videos will be coming from this channel soon.